Harry's rage at Meghan. Her behaviour will shock you. What an insult. What contempt. I've got the inside story.
And you know what? No cameras, no photographs. Very sweet to do this under the radar.
It all started with a bombshell interview that no one saw coming. The world was blindsided when Meghan Markle's former driver, Mr. Ellis, broke his silence about something that had been kept hidden for years. This wasn't just any revelation. It was one that could tear apart the carefully crafted image Meghan had worked so hard to build. The truth came out bluntly, and the statement he made was chilling. "I drove Meghan to places Harry was never allowed to know about." These were his exact words. The first sentence alone dropped like a bombshell, leaving the audience frozen in shock. And Ellis didn't stop there. He went on to explain how Meghan had always insisted that he turn off the GPS, disable the in-car cameras, and take her to destinations that were never recorded. The secrecy of those trips was mind-blowing. Ellis revealed that Meghan's nighttime outings, which happened when Harry wasn't around, took her to places where no cameras lurked, away from the prying eyes of the public. Hourly rental apartments, quiet suburban roads, and underground parking lots were just some of the places he'd been directed to. The secrecy was so profound, so deliberate, that it screamed of something far more sinister than mere private meetings. But what shook the world more than Ellis's words was Harry's reaction. The man who had always defended Meghan to the bitter end, who had stood by her against all odds, was completely silent. No rebuttal, no words of defense, just silence. And that silence was deafening. Was Harry already aware of something more? Was there a truth out there that he could no longer defend? This silence, was it the silence of a man who had just discovered something so shocking he couldn't even find the words to respond? This story exploded into the public consciousness with the kind of speed no one expected. What started as a small, seemingly insignificant interview spiraled into a massive scandal. Meghan's camp quickly scrambled to deny Ellis's claims, dismissing them as baseless fabrications meant to harm the family's reputation. But the damage was already done. The public was stunned, and so was Harry. What happened next was truly remarkable. Harry, a man who had always stood firm beside his wife, wasn't the man anyone expected him to be. According to sources close to the couple, Harry's reaction was swift and intense. In his Los Angeles mansion, he completely lost it. The once proud royal prince was now a man in crisis. Reports revealed that Harry smashed his phone in a fit of rage, a reaction no one had ever seen from him before. In the midst of the chaos, he kept asking one thing, over and over again: why didn't I know anything? The question wasn't directed at the press or the media. It was for Meghan. It was a cry of frustration, betrayal, and confusion. And that's when things began to shift. The narrative wasn't just about secrets anymore. It was about a man who was beginning to see his marriage in an entirely different light. In the quiet, tension-filled home, Meghan remained calm, but Harry could see through the facade. When she casually dismissed the trips as nothing more than personal work, something snapped in him. Personal work that required turning off the GPS? No security? This wasn't just about girlfriends meeting up at midnight in underground parking lots. Harry's anger flared. His voice was low, but laced with fury. "What kind of work keeps your husband in the dark?" Meghan blinked, visibly rattled for the first time. She tried to play it cool, but her calm was starting to crack. She quickly switched gears, feigning vulnerability. She put on her usual act, the "I'm the victim here" routine. "Do you think I wanted this? Ever since we left the royal family, I've been attacked nonstop. Every day, someone makes up stories about me, and now you believe them too." This was the moment Harry knew something was off. The familiar lines, the same ones she always used when confronted, were now falling flat. His heart softened momentarily, but the doubt lingered. And that's when the real chaos began. The next day, as Harry sat alone trying to process everything, he decided to take matters into his own hands. He dug into Meghan's schedule, comparing it to the car's GPS data and security footage. What he found shocked him to his core. Gaps, edited schedules, meetings that coincided with the car leaving at odd hours. Everything he thought he knew about Meghan's life was falling apart in front of him. His worst fears were coming true. Meghan had been hiding things from him, and it wasn't just about privacy. This was something much darker. A few hours later, a photo emerged that would change everything. It was a blurry shot of Meghan in an underground garage, dressed in black, receiving a package from two men in all black. No smiles, no pleasantries, just business. A deal. As the photo spread like wildfire, the rumors took on a life of their own. People began to speculate, and the whispers grew louder. Meghan was hiding something far more dangerous than anyone realized. Some said it was an affair, but others, those in the know, whispered something even darker. Meghan was involved in some sort of deal, a financial deal that could jeopardize everything. To Harry, this was no longer just about the marriage. This was about family. This was about trust. And what's worse, he didn't know how deep the web of lies truly went. As the rumors swirled, Meghan continued to deny everything, but her denials only seemed to make things worse. She dug herself deeper into a hole, each explanation more questionable than the last. Harry, however, was done. He wasn't going to sit by and let Meghan control the narrative anymore. He hired a private investigator. His gut told him the truth was darker than he could have imagined. The investigator began tailing Meghan, and what they found made Harry's blood run cold. Strange money transfers, mysterious meetings, and worst of all, nothing was being reported to him. Nothing made sense. Harry's silence was no longer just his inability to confront his wife. It was the silence of a man drowning in a sea of unanswered questions. And now, the world would witness the slow unraveling of Meghan Markle's perfect life. As the private investigator delved deeper, Harry realized this wasn't just about Meghan's secret life. This was about everything: money, power, and trust. The worst part? The photo. The photo that had surfaced from the dark depths of the internet. Meghan in a hoodie and mask, accepting a mysterious package from Men in Black. And then, the ominous words of the paparazzi: "This isn't an affair. This is a deal." Late that night, Harry confronted Meghan once more. He needed answers, and this time he wasn't going to accept her usual evasions. The tension in the room was suffocating. As Meghan sat there trying to maintain her calm facade, Harry wasn't buying it. His voice was tight, controlled, but every word dripped with a bitterness that could no longer be hidden. "Where is the money coming from, Meghan? Why is it all so perfect? Why are we living this lavish life while everything else is falling apart?" For a moment, Meghan just stared at him as if trying to figure out what to say, but she didn't have an answer. Instead, she did what she always did when things got too heated. She deflected. "It's just investments, Harry. Trust me, everything's under control." But this time, Harry didn't buy it. Her smile was too practiced, her voice too smooth. It was the same script she had used before, and it wasn't working anymore. The silence in the room grew heavy. Harry could feel the weight of her lies pressing down on him, and his anger was bubbling just beneath the surface. He had never been so furious, but it wasn't just about the lies, it was about the trust that had been shattered between them. He had always defended her, always stood by her side, but now he wasn't sure who she really was anymore. Was she the woman he married, the woman he'd fought so hard to protect, or had she become someone entirely different? "I'm not stupid, Meghan," Harry finally snapped. "You can't keep hiding things from me. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about us, our family, our future." Meghan's calm demeanor faltered for a split second. She shifted uncomfortably in her chair, her eyes darting to the side as if searching for an escape. But Harry wasn't going to let her off the hook. He wasn't going to let her manipulate him again. "I've been trying to protect you, protect us." Meghan's voice cracked as she let out a shaky sigh, her eyes filling with tears. "But you don't understand. Everything I do for us, for the kids, for our future." She reached out to touch his arm, her voice trembling. "You've always been my strength, Harry, but I'm scared. I'm scared that if the world finds out, if they know what's really going on, everything we've built will fall apart." Harry looked at her, his heart twisting with a mixture of anger and sorrow. He wanted to believe her. He really did, but the doubt gnawed at him, refusing to let him rest. The next day, Harry received the phone call that would change everything. An anonymous tip-off had come through, warning him about the people Meghan had been meeting with. The detective he had hired had finally uncovered something that couldn't be ignored: a trail of shady deals, secretive contracts, and a network of connections Meghan had been keeping hidden. This was no longer about petty lies or misunderstandings. This was something much darker, and it was threatening to tear their world apart. Harry was no longer just questioning his marriage. He was questioning everything he thought he knew about the woman he loved. The more he uncovered, the more he realized how deep the deception went. Meghan had been involved in things that were dangerous, illegal even, and now her actions were about to come to light in a way she couldn't control. The final straw came when a shocking leak emerged. A photo surfaced showing Meghan in a dark parking garage, once again meeting with two men in black. But this time, the photo was more damning than any before. The men weren't just random associates. One of them had been linked to underground financial dealings, and the package Meghan had accepted wasn't just any package. It was linked to offshore accounts, money laundering, and a web of illegal activities that stretched across continents. When the photo reached Harry, his worst fears were confirmed. He sat in silence, staring at the screen, the image searing into his mind. His heart pounded in his chest as the truth began to settle in. Meghan had been lying to him, and now it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about his future, his family's safety, and the secrets that threatened to destroy everything. In the following following days, Harry found himself drowning in confusion and anger. He tried to confront Meghan, but she was always one step ahead, always with an excuse, always ready with a smile. But Harry had had enough. The lies were too much. The secrecy was too deep, and he couldn't keep defending her anymore. As the days passed, Harry distanced himself from Meghan, keeping his emotions locked away behind a wall of silence. He no longer knew who she was, and with every passing moment, the distance between them grew wider. One evening, while Harry sat alone in their office, the weight of everything finally hit him. His wife, the woman he had defended at all costs, had been living a double life, and now everything they had built together was crumbling before his eyes. The final blow came when Harry received another call from the private investigator. The man was able to connect all the dots, the money, the shady deals, the dark secrets. Meghan wasn't just hiding an affair, she was involved in something far more dangerous. And as Harry sat there, the reality of his situation began to sink in. The truth was clear now. Meghan had crossed a line and there was no going back. The facade was shattered and all the lies had come tumbling down. Harry knew one thing for sure. He couldn't stay in the dark any longer. And as he stared at the phone, knowing the storm was coming, he realized something else. Meghan had won. She had manipulated him for so long, controlled every narrative, and now he was nothing more than a pawn in her game. The marriage, the family, everything was about to change. And this time there was no going back. There was no going back.